What if a simple shift in the way we think could totally unlock a student's hidden potential? Well, today, we're going to dive into the incredible power of the entrepreneurial mindset. So, picture this. You walk into a classroom full of 15-year-olds with an idea. Let's start a real business. And right from the middle of the room, this kid, slouched down in his chair, not interested at all, just says those words. This is a waste of time. Why bother? You could just feel the energy drain from the room. Yeah, this was going to be an uphill battle.
But here's where the story takes a fascinating turn. Just 1 week later, that very same student, he was completely unrecognizable. He went from ditching classes to actually leading brainstorming sessions. From totally disengaged to being the one who made the highest profit in the entire class. It was a complete 180.
This story of the unlikely leader really forces us to ask a super important question. What on earth was it about this project that managed to capture his imagination and spark such a huge change?
To get to the bottom of that, we have to get one thing straight. This isn't about trying to turn every single kid into a CEO. No, it's about something way more fundamental.
It's really about nurturing what's called an entrepreneurial mindset. And that's just a powerful way of thinking that helps you see opportunities where other people might just see problems. It's all about being flexible, learning to adapt, and having the confidence to create your own path, no matter what that path is.
And these are the core skills that make up that mindset. We're talking about things like creativity, critical thinking, problem solving. The skills that are absolutely crucial for success in our world today, whether you're starting your own thing or working for someone else.
Okay, so the million-dollar question is, can this actually be taught? And the answer is a huge, resounding yes. And you know what? It turns out the best way to do it is to just let kids get their hands dirty and launch their very own businesses.
So, let's take a look at what this looks like in the real world. We're going to check out a few stories of elementary school students who learned these lessons not from some boring textbook, but by actually doing it.
First up, I want you to meet Mimi. Now, Mimi wasn't your typical star student, but she had a real flair for the dramatic, and this brilliantly weird idea for a cat toy she decided to call Roadkill Kitties.
She built this incredible display for her booth with a tree branch and just used her natural showmanship to demo the product. And as people started getting into it, her business just took off. And with it, Mimi herself just came alive. She found her own way to shine by tapping into her unique, artistic, and entrepreneurial side.
Next, let's talk about Tyler. He was making these awesome sock puppets, but his market research hit a complete dead end. Everyone he asked agreed on the color for the puppet's body, but for the hair and the tongue color, there was zero agreement. He was totally and completely stuck.
Now, instead of his teacher just giving him the answer, she challenged him to solve it himself. And his solution was pure genius. He put snaps on the puppet's head and inside its mouth so customers could customize them. Then, get this, he sold the extra hair and tongues as accessories, and his profits just went through the roof. It's a perfect example of creative problem solving in action.
But, it doesn't always start out so great. Take Luke, for example. He made these really beautiful Christmas ornaments from twigs and string, hung them all on a tree at his booth, and then sold absolutely nothing. Zero. So after a quick chat, he realized that customers probably thought the ornaments were just decorations, not actually for sale. So he took one down, held it in his hand, and started talking to people. And the result? Bam! 3 sales in just 10 minutes. And the pride on his face, that's something you could never, ever teach from a book.
So what is it that makes these kinds of transformations possible? Well, it all boils down to a couple of key ideas in the learning process.
First and foremost, students have to have the freedom to fail. Entrepreneurship is messy. There's no single right answer. Just think about Luke's 0 sales at the beginning. Treating those moments as learning opportunities instead of failures is absolutely key.
And second, they need time to reflect. This is where they really process their experiences. See, they don't just solve a problem. They realize, hey, I'm a creative person because I solved that problem. That kind of self-reflection is how you build a real sense of self and capability.
And you can see that whole process right here in a student's own words. This isn't just about learning a new skill. It's about fundamentally changing how they see themselves. They start to discover abilities they never even knew they had.
And of course, the lessons learned aren't always so deep and profound. Sometimes they're just incredibly practical. As one young entrepreneur wisely pointed out, when you get nervous and the room gets warm, well, personal hygiene is pretty important. But beyond these individual projects, these experiences have much bigger, long-term benefits that can really change the whole culture of a school and unleash a child's true potential.
Just think about this. In the very first year of this program, a teacher asked a class who thought they could start a business. Maybe 1 or 2 hands went up. But 10 years later, every single hand in the room shot straight up. They'd seen year after year that it was actually possible.
And then you have kids like Keegan, a student with learning disabilities who often had a tough time in school. But with his soap business, he discovered that he was creative and talented. He said it was fun because he just got to be himself, and that it gave him high hopes for his future.
But maybe the most powerful story is about a boy with some severe behavioral problems. He just thrived in this program. A year later, he came back to visit with a gift for his teacher, 3 smooth, colorful, special stones. He looked at her and said, "I'm special too, and that's how I want you to remember me."
These kinds of experiences help kids find their passions, their unique talents, and their own power to make a difference. And it leaves us with one last, really vital question to think about. How can we help every single child find that thing that makes them special, so they can go out and put their own unique mark on the world?